Take 3. Kyle here from All Media Reviews, here to do a video on a musician by the name of Jared Draughon. Jared, Jared, Draughon, Draughon, who's known for, put a collage up here, of course. Um, Probably his most success would be with the band Telescreen, but still very obscure. Telescreen did do a tour many years ago with Dredge. I don't know if they were on the tour with Dredge and Circus Survive. They might have been, or no, I think it was the one where I saw Judgment Day. And Judgment Day wasn't on all the tour. It was with Torch. Dredge was the headline. That's right. And Telescreen was part of the tour, and Judgment Day I think was part of the other tour. Which I love Judgment Day, but I never got to see Jared and Telescreen. Anyway, I don't have theirs. They have the one album Telescreen that I've listened to maybe one or two times. Want to go back to my again, but so I discovered him probably before. Well, it's around the same time. His project with his then partner. I don't know if they were officially married, but they're not together anymore, unfortunately. By the name of Distrails. And I have the one CD. They had two EPs, and he doesn't have any full lengths other than the Telescreen album that I know of, really proper full length. But Distrails was Jared Draughon, who's a guitarist and a singer songwriter, and his wife Bitsy Pina, she was a keyboardist pianist. This is their first EP. It's called Virginia Creeper. And I talked about this in the 2007, December 31st was on Empire Calendar. Love this. I mean, his voice is very angelic. On this thing. He sings a lot of falsettos. Almost all the songs have falsettos, but Virginia Creeper. But they seem to work. The songs work. There's the title track, Always, Hourglass, Critical Mass, Broken English. There's a very sublime sort of classical or orchestral, symphonic element to songs that would normally be a little more stripped down, you could say, because it reminds me of Jimmy Necco of Ours in some ways, vocally, but then some others. Music kind of reminds me of like Never Ending White Lights and a little bit of Dredge, you could say, but this was different because the piano and the string arrangements drove this. So the Distrails put out one. This was in 2000, like the end of 2007, Virginia Creeper, and they put out one other EP in 2009 or 10. I want to say it was not 2009. Maybe it was 2010 actually. Um, and it was more psychedelic, you could say. Let's see if it's listed. I can't remember the name of it, but it was only digital. Yeah, see, it's not even listed on Discogs. But it is on Spotify, the second Distrails EP. And unfortunately, that long a story short as possible, I don't know if this, was what exactly happened, but that was the last thing that Distrails did. The second EP was called Dry Flies from 2010. It was just digital, even though it's actually listed as just a single. It's an EP. Has 4 songs, um, and it's sublime in different ways than Virginia Creeper, but again, very trippy, very melancholy, almost moody, dreamy, very dreamy. And Jared does still a lot of falsettos, but anyway, his wife Bitsy at that point, because I was communicating with her before the Dry Flies EP came out in 2010, I guess it was January 31st. It's listed here that she unfortunately they were writing more music. They were probably going to release a full length, but she was diagnosed with some kind of condition. It wasn't carpal tunnel. Basically, her it wasn't neuropathy. I don't think exactly. It was Earler's something. Anyway, her ability to play music. And the same thing I think might have happened to Troy Tipton from Zero Hour, the bass player, because he can't play bass anymore. He sang on the project that The Dying Plan, I think, is with his brother, but um that was it. She was basically given the not really much ability to play piano and keyboards, and so She's around though. I found her on Instagram recently, but so that was 2010. That's one of those cases where a band you hear about that and you think it's it, but I didn't really keep tabs. I wasn't using Facebook that much, although I was communicating on Facebook, but I was thinking about a lot of this Empire stuff and remembering Distrails. I wondered, well, whatever happened to Jared? He had the Telescreen band as well, which is more electronic from memory. And I guess doing some research, he also played on Far Less. He's from North Carolina. Far Less is from like Virginia, so that from a geographic standpoint, he may have had connections, may have known. He was played. I think he played with one of the last two Far Less albums, but so it was literally about 2 months ago, maybe, if that. I probably stumbled upon this at one point in the last few years. So wondered what happened to Jared and Bitsy. I found him on Instagram, but find out that he created this band called this project called Must Be the Holy Ghost. And so they have at this point, and so their first release came out in 2014. Um, oh, the cookie would, and it's really just him, but it was called Get Off, and you call it a mini album or a short album. I mean, it's 8 tracks. The running time is just it's really 44 minutes. Doesn't seem like it. Okay, so I guess you'd consider this in effect a full length. I could be wrong, but I looked at it. I downloaded this and the other thing I'm about to talk about. I'm holding here on the Bandcamp initially, and I want to get this. I think this came out on vinyl, but Get Off in 2014. I don't think it was 44 minutes. Maybe I'm just misremembering, but anyway, so I guess you could say this is a full length album or a semi full. I mean, 44 minutes is certainly the length of a full length, but it's only 8 songs. But so this is just him, and while there's a lot that it shares in common with the stuff he did with Distrails, and I'm sort of presuming Telescreen to some degree, there's a lot of differences too. But I'm really liking it. It's music that it kind of sounds a little bit like one of those guitarists, like Tim Reynolds or something like that, in a way, who could go to like a coffee house or open for someone bigger at like a club, a smaller club, or maybe even a theater, something like that. But he would just be with his guitar and he's sitting and he's got like all these sustain pedals and just layers of guitar textures and vocals. Now there's a lot more to the music than just guitars and vocals, because I believe there's some drums on this and maybe some bass, um but he's not emphasizing the falsetto vocals. There's not a lot. I mean, it seems like it's a little bit like a Kevin Gilbert thing, although I like his falsettos a lot, where he kind of decided I'm going to sing at a more whatever, not a baritone, but like a lower tenor. Um and it really works. And there's just like a very kind of emotional, sort of sympathetic element to a lot of the songs on the Get Off album. I guess you call it. It should be called an album. The debut album from Must Be the Holy Ghost, MB MBTHG. Um, songs like Permanent Tar and Undercover and Temper and Airborne. I don't know. There's just the dynamics. I'll say that this album and the thing I'm about to talk about after I'm done with talking about Get Off, some of the songs kind of feel like they're almost not unfinished, but they're intended to just be sort of like a limited emotion. It's there. It goes on for a couple minutes. Now, looking at the track lengths, a lot of these are longer. There's the song Airborne is actually 7 minutes and 8 seconds. So, but he does this just really creative way of using echoing and like bringing multiple guitar. It's not Beach Boys, the Deer Hunter, Queen exactly, row row your boat barbershop harmonies. It's more of like emphasizing just emotion with the same layer a couple times, and then he brings it back, maybe one of the lyrics, from the chorus or something. um and it hits the spot from a sort of therapeutic emotion. It looks like he could be going through therapy, his own therapy, trying to get something out there. I don't know, because he's not with Bitsy anymore. Maybe that this has influenced this. I don't know. It could be something completely different. So He's with someone else now. So getting going on to the one other physical, the one that was 2014, must be, or Get Off rather, must be the Holy Ghost. Then in 2016, this the release Overflow, which I believe is considered an EP. It's 6 tracks though, and it's like 27 minutes. Yeah, and I guess having listened to these probably maybe at least 9, 10 times both. Maybe I listen to this more, maybe 8 or 9 times over the last couple of weeks in my car. I prefer this maybe slightly overall. This came out in 2016, September 16th, 2016. So, um, it's very, again, it has the mood, but the songs aren't, a lot of them aren't as long. Meltdown, the opening track's almost 7 minutes though, but Forest, All Night, Might Crack, I know you know. I mean, keep taking the medicine is a little weird. He uses like some vocal, like deeper vocals, like a Kevin Gilbert, like caviar thing, or like a sample too. But it's really sort of a cool sort of contrast or slightly like left turn from the Distrail stuff that I know of his. Like now, I need to revisit Telescreen, but you know, like the spirit of what I loved about him on Distrails seems to be present in, while he reminds me a little bit of actually Taylor Rice from a Local Natives, but overall I think he's a slightly better vocalist, even though I like Taylor Rice a lot and I like the Local Natives harmonies and everything. But as a singer, as a natural singer, he reminds me a little bit of Dallas Green, actually, also from Sitting Color, and he, of course, did the one song for Never Ending White Lights. It's just fantastic. It's super dreamy. Of course, also in Alexis on Fire. A little bit of that. In fact, Jared would be a fantastic guy to, singer for Never Ending White Lights if that ever happens. And last we heard that Daniel Victor was just going to be doing a lot of the vocals himself for practical reasons. I don't know, but yeah, I'm really loving this. And the thing is, this just came out 9 years ago now, almost 8.5 years ago or whatever. This Overflow EP, but I mean, it's never too late to discover this stuff. I feel like try to discover it while you still have the ability to sort of reach out. And he's on Bandcamp, and I could actually buy a CD. There's vinyl. He's active on Instagram still. Um, and he does like shows, I guess. So I don't know if the stuff's on YouTube, but yeah, I love a lot of this stuff. I mean, is it the greatest stuff ever? Would I put it above Distrails? And it's kind of tough to say. Probably not quite, but it's interesting. It's almost like comparing Breaking Bad to Better Call Saul. Well, I love Better Call Saul, and it feels like a more fuller, fleshed out characterization and like sort of story arc to some degree and more fulfilling in some ways. Breaking Bad just kind of has that perfection sweet spot. So it's like 1A and 1B, or like 1A and like 1.5B. It's like it, but I'm really glad that, and he's doing this. Granted, it's been 9 years. I don't know if he's been writing new music and put out new music, given it's been so long. He may be doing other things. Maybe he plays in cover bands. Maybe he teaches music. I'm not sure what he does besides this. He's, like I say, he played with Far Less, but that was back in the 2000s. But it's great that he's still doing music. I know he's got someone else he's with. I don't know if this partner of his also does music currently with him. Um, but yeah, Jared Draughon, Draugon. I know it's super obscure, but that's what this channel seems to be about. I'm not working tomorrow, but I have a car appointment, and I have to bring my mother-in-law to the doctor. So I'm not sure how much opportunity, but I'm gonna get stuff together and may be able to start it. Maybe do it in 2 parts probably for 2008, the M Park calendar. But thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.